Hello, everybody. I'm Hot Rod Bob. You've got Gas, a special edition with Paul Martinez from Rodding USA magazine on the line with us. And we're going to talk to Paul about a long history in rodding and this magazine that he's been doing for a number of years now. And it is one of the top magazines on the market if you're into rodding. Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Bob. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's great seeing you. We talk on a regular basis, but and we've been friends for what we figured it out going on almost 4 decades.
That's right.
Boy, we were both younger and handsome and virulent, and and all sorts of stuff that we're not now, but we're having fun. You started. When did you start Rodding USA magazine?
We started our first issue March of 2013, so we're in our 9th year now.
Wow, and going strong. You picked up the gap because some of the magazines have fallen off the face of the earth, and you picked up where they left off.
Quite a few. When we started the book, people were wondering why we were going to do a print magazine versus a digital magazine. And I really felt there was a market for a good quality print magazine. So when we started Rodding USA, that was the entire plan, was to print on high quality paper with excellent photography. And it's been a successful formula for us.
And excellent photography is your forte, as we met shortly after you had gone to work for Peterson Publishing at the time.
Yes, correct. I worked at Street Rodder in the early 80s, and then I moved across town to Hollywood to work at Peterson Publishing, and I worked in their photo department, which meant I got to shoot photos for everything from Hot Rod and Motor Trend to Guns and Ammo, Teen Magazine, Carcraft, etc. So it was just a great learning experience at Peterson.
And I remember one of my fond memories, and I can blame you for causing me to have the Corvette fetish I have, is you had the 1984 Corvette. That was the car of the year.
Yes.
For a photo shoot.
Yes, I was shooting something for Motor Trend, and I got to take the car home overnight.
Yeah.
And you and I had become friends, and we were living close by, and you got to drive the Corvette, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Yeah, I remember we took it up to some canyons to see how it did, and it did quite well.
Yes, that's right.
So tell us about Rodding. Tell us about Rodding USA. What is this magazine all about that makes it so much different and so much more popular these days than some of the internet-based things we're seeing?
Well, I would say the biggest thing we have going for us is that we not only do car features and cover people's car collections and stuff, but we do go to a lot of events around the country. And you see events on social media all the time. The difference with us is that all our photos in our stories are captioned. So if Bob Beck has his Plymouth at the Havasu Deuces show, and I have a photo of it in the magazine, it's going to mention that fact. And I know people appreciate, just that extra effort that we go through to caption and put people's names and where they're from and the type of car that it is. So I think that does separate us. Plus, the good thing with a print magazine, you can pick it up anytime you want to. Online, good luck finding it an hour after you first saw it, much less a week later.
Now, the magazine, like you said, is a glossy print, and it is a high quality. It's coffee table quality. You have been in the publishing business for a number of years. Could you show us a copy?
Yes. So here's issue number 1. Wow. So that was March of 2013, and something that I decided to do right from the beginning in the publishing business. The most expensive ad page you have is the outside back cover. Reason being is there's a 50-50 chance that magazine will lay upright or on the back cover showing up. So the ad space is at a premium. What we decided to do from issue 1 was no ad on the back cover. So all of our issues have wraparound covers. And that's something not many do, because obviously you're losing some of your advertising there, but that's okay. We wanted to provide something special for our readers. So our most current issue is issue 55, and that one's out now. It shipped out from our printer last Wednesday, and it's available through us. And there's a cover, And a lot of people will recognize that 39 Ford. It belongs to Rick Love of Vintage Air. And he, like he's owned his for 42 years, I believe. And I think I've owned my 34 for 44 years. So each of us both have our first hot rods.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I remember, because that's how one of the things I noted when I met you is I was driving down the alley where my sister-in-law lived, and you lived just across from her. I knew your car from the magazine
Yeah.
articles you had written and had been in Street Rodder and so forth. And when I passed the garage, there was the car, and I knew you had to be a hot rod.
That's right. And I remember the day I was working on the car and some guy comes up and he says, "Wow, I'm Bob Beck. What's your name?" And I said, "Paul Martinez." And he says, "Oh, my sister-in-law lives across the way here." And from that day on, we became friends.
Yeah.
Friend.
And we've stayed friends. I mean, we don't talk to each other every day, but we've remained friends for many years. And I followed your exploits, I guess you could say. You were shooting an excellent calendar for many years.
Yeah, I did that. And I did a lot of commercial photography over the years. So I've done all types of photography, but automotive has been the key. And I was fortunate to have this opportunity to come back into the publishing industry with Rodding USA.
It's an excellent magazine. Now, you can get it by subscription. And I found it in Burbank, California at a automotive bookstore.
Yes.
So distribution is out there.
Yes, it is in some bookstores and shops around the country, but the majority of it is subscription, which is a good thing because it gets delivered to your door. You don't have to go out and look for it.
No,
and then we also have a digital version online too.
Yeah, and when it comes to you, it's wrapped in plastic, so it's protected. You don't get the corners bent over or torn as it goes through the mailing system or your mailboxes. The post office, they don't care. They just mail. We're just stuffing it in there. But it comes wrapped. It is a very high quality magazine, as we said. And I've got some over here. Move on here. You know, so I've got some of the editions as well. As a matter of fact, every edition that I've been in, I've got. And for those of you, I got
to for us for over a year now.
Yeah, I got to plug that because my column appears in your magazine as well, and I'm having fun doing that. We've talked about that. I do a little bit offbeat from the regular reporting, and it seems to be going pretty good.
Yes, we get a good response. That's what keeps our magazine interesting, is that we have just a variety of columns. We have stories. I have some freelancers around the country that provide material from other parts of the country. And it's just a good mix. And we get a lot of great reviews from our subscribers and our readers. They really enjoy the magazine.
And that's the important thing. And that's one of the things about your magazine. I mean, we had a whole number of hot rodding magazines on the market, and they're all gone. You filled in the void, and you're focusing on the more popular of the hot rodding era.
Yeah, we base it on traditional hot rods, so Model A's, 32, 34, 40 Fords, but we go up to 1959 with the cars that we cover. So that gives us a nice little variety in there. And like I mentioned earlier, we do car collections. So we've had some great people, great rodders with large car collections that have just opened their places up to me to go photograph and share with our readers, which is really nice of them to do that. And it's
one of the people that I
will have multiple cars in this hobby.
One of the people that you kind of introduced me to without face-to-face introduction was George Petit and his great car collection.
Yes, and he does have a great car collection. And now he's gotten into vaudeville racing and goes very, very fast in his Streamliner.
Yeah, he's got the world's record for Streamliner and his Blowfish Barracuda.
Yes, that's
and
right.
And he just sold the Blowfish, which is kind of, okay, you've done what you wanted to do, you accomplished what you wanted to. Now his car, the Streamliner, is housed here in Ventura, California.
Oh, okay.
So I've been able to go over and see it, and I know the builder and the people that are working on it. It's neat to do. And my partner Randy and I have interviewed George, and he's quite an interesting guy to talk to. But the cars you've shown that he has are just top notch.
Yes, he has an incredible collection, as do many across the country.
Yeah, and you cover that. You cover the shows, and you cover the hobby and the sport, and that's what makes Rotting USA that much more interesting.
Yeah,
It's not it's not your basic magazine. It is targeted.
so, and I get asked occasionally, it's like, how do you choose your cars for car features? Do they have to be super expensive cars, or what's your criteria? And my answer to them is, it doesn't really matter how much is in it. It just has to look right. And so that's my choice. You know, when I find a car, say it doesn't matter if a guy built it in his garage at home and spent $30,000 on it, or if a pro builder built it and spent $500,000 on it.
Yeah.
It just has to look right and fit what our magazine is all about.
And we talk about you and your photography, but you are a hot rodder, and you have been since you were able to drive.
Since I was a freshman, well, it started with a '69 Camaro, my first car, my first day of high school, or I should say when I turned 16 and was able to drive my car to high school, I was driving a '69 Camaro. And then I purchased a 1934 Ford Coupe in January of 1979. And I still have that car today. I still have my 34, and fun car to drive. And then I recently, I should say, in the magazine, we built a 32 Ford Roadster pickup over about 18 issues. Since we're bi-monthly, that would equate to about 3-year time period. And the premise behind building that 32 Roadster pickup, it's a Brookville body, Brookville chassis, was to build a traditional looking hot rod using all new parts.
Oh,
And 53 manufacturers later, we had our 32 Ford Roadster pickup done. And the only piece on the car from 1932 is a 1932 copper Arizona license plate.
okay.
Everything
Which
else
makes
on the
sense.
car is new. And I'll share a picture of the Roadster
Please.
with you. So it was,
There we go.
so
That is great.
that's our Roadster pickup. That's our company car, as we call it.
There you go.
So fun little car and great advertising tool, and people recognize the car, and we try to take it to as many events as possible. And just a great little hot rod.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, it was up in Buellton. You'd come up for the 32 days here on the West Coast.
Deuces on 101. Yes,
Yeah.
that was a fun event.
Yeah, we saw that. That was the first time I'd seen it, and there, you know, we talked earlier about the 6th degree of separation and how through hot rodding and the car industry and hobby, we've met a number of different people. I was talking to a couple of friends from one of the car clubs I belong to, Street Rods Unlimited, and you ended up having dinner with them that night.
Oh, that's right. I remember. Yes, yes.
And it was kind of funny. They started telling me about it. I go, oh yeah, Paul and I have been friends for a while. I go, oh really?
Very, very true. And I'll have to share my 34 with you also.
Yeah, please. Because that's the car that you had when I met you, and it's gone through a rebuild since I met.
Yeah, it's gone through three rebuilds while I've owned it. So this is my 34 Ford.
Yeah, that is so cool. And now you've got that independent I-beam front suspension on the front of it.
Yes.
It looks like a regular I-beam, but it's pivoting, and it helps the ride considerably.
It does. In fact, Saturday, Milena, my wife, and I took it out for a cruise. We were gone for several hours. Fun car to drive.
Yep.
And it definitely gets a lot of attention when you're driving it.
Definitely. Now, when I first met you back in 1983 about that, you had built the car to the current state of the art, which was the billet era.
Yes.
That was the Boyd era, the billet cars and things of that nature. And it was contemporary. You had the multi-stripes down the side. You had the billet components on the vehicle. It didn't sit quite as low as it does right now, I don't believe.
No, it didn't. And that's when you first saw the car that you recognized from seeing it in Street Rodder.
Right.
Because we had done a lot of changes that we ran in the pages of Street Rodder as we did them. And like you said, we had the graphics on the car, which were in back then. We had centerline wheels, which were in back then, and a lot of billet pieces, which were kind of new to our industry. And the car had a good look. And then just a quick story, over the years, obviously that fad left us and my car still had all of that. And I'd kind of lost interest in my car. I had a 47 Chevy sedan delivery also,
Right.
but the 34 was just looking very dated and I came very, very close to selling it. And I had gone to shoot back to the 50s with Joe Kress, who was the editor of American Rodder.
Mhm.
So we met in St. Paul and we shot the event, and we were sitting there one late afternoon, and I was sitting, and a Chop Channel 34.5 window comes down the road, just cool looking traditional hot rod, and he pulls up literally right in front of me and backs into a space next to us.
Mm.
And I guess the light bulb went on right at that moment saying, you know what, you have one of those at home. It doesn't look like this, but it can. And that turned into a ground up restoration of the car. So
Yeah, I saw while I was under reconstruction. We met at the Good Guys show in Scottsdale. And at
yes,
that point in time, you had started a lot of the renovation that you did.
right.
The hood, your car didn't have a hood, if I remember correctly, before.
Right.
The grill was kind of stretched back.
Yes, yes. So yeah, we had a custom hood built, and then body came off the chassis, redid the chassis, put a Winters quick change under the rear end, and which is obviously a perfect fit for that car. We got a deck lid from Steve's Auto Restoration with 100 louvers in it, and definitely a cool car. Arizona Street Rods in Phoenix painted it. And then Squeege's, which is now owned by Doug Jerger, and Doug actually sprayed the flames on it
Oh,
back then.
okay.
So
So
it
that's
went through
great.
a lot of changes to give it its new look, and it's had that look for the last 20 years.
Yeah, it's about when I was working for Good Guys, and
Yes.
we had done our first Scottsdale Nationals.
Right, exactly. Yes.
So
So lots of fun stuff. And obviously the cars have just led, the cars are what brought me into photography. So I was majoring in radio, TV, film at the University of Arizona here in Tucson, and took a photo class because I was reading car magazines, and I was shooting pictures with a 110 pocket camera that had a negative that was probably a quarter inch by a quarter inch. So
yeah,
obviously photos weren't very good. And I loved what I was seeing in the car magazines. And I remember finding that there was a summer school class at a junior college here in Tucson, and they had a photo class. So I decided to take that. I remember my dad took me to Kmart. We bought a Minolta SR202 camera. I didn't even know how to load the film in the camera, but I fell in love with photography from that photo class that I took with a great teacher. I ended up taking 5 photo classes in my life, so it kind of came very easy to me, and I had the eye for it. And then I started doing freelance stuff for Street Rodder magazine, and I think they were sending me a check for like $25 for a story, which didn't make any difference what the amount was. I had stuff published in a national publication. And then that led to them actually calling me one day and telling me there was going to be a job opening coming up in 3 months, and asked if I was interested. So I went to LA, interviewed with Tom McMullen, and he hired me. So it's been fun ever since.
yeah, yeah. It has. Yeah, I can still remember you and I went on a photo shoot to Moon Eyes, and it was when you started using digital,
Yes.
and you weren't sure how digital was going to work.
No,
So
it
you
didn't.
shot both digital and traditional 35 millimeter.
Yeah, digital wasn't very good in the beginning. It was very contrasty, which meant that like dark tires just went pitch black and there was no detail in them. But you couldn't pry that digital camera out of my hands now,
No.
because I can go shoot something today. I can edit the photos, write the story, send it to my designer tonight. My designer's in London, so we have a nice 8-hour time difference.
Yeah.
When I'm done in the evening, he's getting to work. I get up in the morning, I have the layout on my computer. And
Perfect.
couldn't do that with film.
No, no, not at all. The process would take you a week to get it, unless you had your own, which you at one point, I believe you did have your own lab where you
Yes,
could develop your own negatives and so forth. Uh, but yeah, today it's so much easier, and you can take unlimited numbers of photos
yes,
rather
exactly.
than the 36 that are on the roll.
Right. And that's what gave that is what gave us the opportunity to come up with and publish Rotting USA. Is there's just between the digital stuff and being able to work from your home office. My wife Milena handles all the financial, the subscriptions, the shipping. So she takes care of that. I do obviously the writing, editing of the magazine, get stuff from freelancers, take care of the advertisers. My designer, Glenn O'Connor in London, he takes care of designing the book. Our printer is 2 miles from here, so I get to go for press checks and make sure everything's right. My pressman at Sundance Press, he's a car guy. He's building a Nomad right now. And as you mentioned, knowing people who know people, he's good friends with a longtime friend of mine's son. And we didn't even know that. And
There you
first
go.
day I went, he says, I know you from somewhere. And so Mike and I just became great friends. And he's the one that prints the magazine. He's the only one that's allowed to print Rotting USA
There you go.
because he does a great job because it's a team effort. I mean, between shooting pictures and design and layout, and then the printing that ends up on the paper and the magazine that our subscribers see, it's all a team effort to get you a great product.
And a great product it is. How would someone sign up for a subscription? Where is your website, or what is your website address?
Website is www.rottingusa.com, or you can call Milena at 520-429-5181, and she'll get you all set up, and we'll get you the latest issue in your mailbox within a week.
All right, Paul Martinez, Rotting USA. I'm biased, but the best rotting publication on the newsstands today.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, Paul. Hey, have a great day. Say hello to Milena for me. And what's the next event for you?
We'll be at LA Roadster Show Father's Day weekend. So that's coming up.
In June, just 2 months from now.
Yeah, a couple of months from now, so not far away. And
No.
then we'll be at the Street Rod Nationals in Louisville. We'll be at Loveland, Colorado, Good Guys Show in September. We'll be at Scottsdale Good Guys in November.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
All right, Paul. I'll try and catch up with you one of those. Take care. We'll be talking to you again. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got GAAS, the Great American Auto Scene with Paul Martinez. Have a great day.
Thanks, Bob. Take care.
Take care.